T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
In the words of Bruce Buffer, it's time! Your favorite daytime sports talk show is on the air. It's the RP Show. Rod and Scruffy coming at you in hour 2. Troy Westwood, a good and longtime friend of mine, and at one time a foe. That's what's coming up. 17-year CFLer, two-time All-Star with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I just opened up the Western Dodge text line. I got to read this before we go to air with Scruffy here. Brian, watching in Edmonton, writes in. He goes, I turned on the RP Show. This is from yesterday. Thought Rod was hosting an Alfred Hitchcock movie, then realized it was Scruffy in a dark room from his house. Hello, Clarice. We're all right. He's got his villains mixed up, but that's what it is. Turn some lights on in there, Scruffy.
That's fine.
What's going on?
What's that?
I said, what's going on?
You want the lights on? You want there? Nothing's going on. It's just a normal day.
You're totally fine. You're totally fine. Okay, that's good. Well, let's get right down to it. Quick 6 show topics. The big story. It is football, but I'm not opening up with a CFL. We did that yesterday. I want to open up with Monday Night Football, Mitch. I know you watched it. Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery ran for 2 touchdowns apiece, and the visiting Detroit Lions bullied their way to a 38-30 NFL win over the Baltimore Ravens Monday night. The Lions sacked Lamar Jackson 7 times and outrushed the Ravens 224 yards to 85 in a battle of 1-1 teams. I was thinking about this. It was a really good game, tied at halftime. And I was thinking, I'm really happy for Dan Campbell to win and the vindication of the Lions. But then I think, I really like John Harbaugh too. And then I looked around, thought about the NFL. I like most of the coaches. I really do. But I was happy for the Lions to win last night, and the Ravens don't look very good. What were your thoughts on Monday Night Football?
The Ravens don't look very good. The Ravens are the team that I thought they're my pick to win the Super Bowl. That certainly doesn't look very good 3 weeks in. They have played 3 games, and in 2 of them, their defense has been terrible. They gave up 41 to Buffalo in a game they should have won. They give up 38 last night to Detroit. Yes, Buffalo and Detroit have good offenses, but come on, you got to stop somebody at some point and give the Lions defense a lot of credit. They sacked Lamar Jackson 7 times last night. And in the words of the great Kevin Harlan, Lamar Jackson's as slippery as a raindrop. So that's no small task for Detroit to control him, but there's something not right in Baltimore, and it sets up a very interesting game Sunday. The 1-2 Ravens at the 1-2 Chiefs.
How about that? Okay, we go fast, everybody. Far more NFL talk coming up later on. We move to point 2. BC Lions star quarterback Nathan Rourke wasn't impressed with some significant changes announced by CFL Commissioner Stuart Johnston on Monday after Johnston revealed a 2-part fan-friendly plan on Monday that will alter the way the CFL game looks and is played. Rourke called the new changes garbage. He also expressed his displeasure with the league for not consulting the players. That, let's be honest, across Canada is the biggest story. Bigger than anything else from what I can see, Scruffy. And I was a little shocked that Nathan Rourke came out and said this. He's been very outspoken on league issues in the past, not the least of which is Chad Kelly, the at one time suspended Argonauts quarterback, as you know. I'm just kind of sitting back and enjoying all the reaction from folks, specifically about the rule changes, but also Nathan Rourke. People are like, wait a minute, this is the guy. Now, I got to quote Reed Johnson, our friend Reed Johnson from the Markcast, who said this. This is the guy that said the CFL was an unexpected detour on his way to the NFL. All of a sudden, he's Joe CFL guy, the guy that played high school football in the States and college football in the States. Now he's Joe CFL guy, Nathan Rourke. So all the perspectives are interesting, and I'll give more of mine in a second, but I'm wondering yours on the changes, and then Nathan Rourke calling them garbage.
The changes, Roddy, to me, I'm okay with. Considering where I thought where we were 24 hours ago, when I really thought we could be NFL candidate today. Mm-hmm. I have never liked the Rouge. I think it's dumb. I think you're rewarding teams for failure, especially on a field goal. So I am all for what they did there. They didn't eradicate it completely, but I like what they did. The benches issue, that should have been done 10 years ago, maybe even longer than that. The 55-yard line, getting rid of it, not crazy about that. I don't mind the end zones because it standardizes everything. I like the fact that the goalposts are being moved to the back line. I know there are a lot of people out there that are saying this is the beginning of the end for the CFL. Gee, where have we heard that before? Did they Americanize it yesterday? Yeah. But did they say 4 downs? No. Did they say 11 men? No. Did they reduce the width of the field? No. Is it still 3 downs? Yes. Do you still have to have a certain number of Canadians on your roster? Yes. This isn't as big a deal as what some think it is. At least not right now.
Stop. We're down to 2 minutes in the segment. What do you think about Nathan Rourke's comments?
He's entitled to them. I think the only thing that, is, as Nathan Rourke said, we weren't consulted on this. It sounds like Dave Dickinson found out about it when he went into work yesterday. I think the CFL maybe had to talk with its players, its coaches, its general managers. Probably the teams are a little bit responsible for that, i.e. the Board of Governors. And it sounds like they didn't talk to university or junior football, because that's where I've got my biggest questions on this. Along with this, is this really supposed to get more ticket sales in stadiums? Because I don't think that's going to be the case with what they did yesterday.
Yeah, so that's my question is, what's the end game? What are you trying to accomplish with these changes? And as I said to you on the phone this morning, what will sell more tickets? I don't think it's this, so why are you doing this? With regards to the poll, Carlos in Indianapolis says, should he be fined? No. Will he be? Most likely. Ken in Mississauga says, McLeod Bethel-Thompson was fined more than once last year for his comments. So mull that over, everybody. Nathan Rourke, the BC Lions quarterback, saying the league's rule changes are garbage. Should he be fined for that? I'll tell you right now, I think, yes, he should be, similar to what Carlos is. Should he be? No. Will he be? Yes. Because I'm sorry. Luke Wilson has proved in his flip-flop the past couple of days, you can't come out and criticize the league and expect to not pay for it. He's completely changed his tune. Luke Wilson is now raw CFL guy after dumping on the league and its alumni all summer long. You can't criticize the league. End of story. And that's why I think Nathan Rourke will be fined when it's announced on Thursday, the league discipline. We'll be right back. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live, podcast, and 1700 AM Mission Radio.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Nazareth's Canadian Farewell Tour is coming to Moose Jaw. Live at Temple Garden Center, October 17th. With special guest, Lee Aaron. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or sasktix.ca.
Hour one of the RP Show brought to you in part by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jack's Cathedral, and Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Number one topic of the Quick Six was Monday Night Football. Number two, CFL rule changes. We'll come back on that. Number three, with a playoff berth secured, the Toronto Blue Jays will focus on winning the AL East Division pennant this week. The Jays, who lead the Yankees by 2 games, open a 3-game series tonight against the visiting Red Sox. Kevin Gausman goes to the mound for the Jays against Red Sox righty Lucas Giolito. If the playoffs started today, the Jays would have a bye and play the winner of the Yankees and Red Sox. Point 4, there's 11 NHL preseason games tonight, including the Oilers at the Jets, so we're going to get to all of this. But we're going to go back on the CFL rule changes, hour ones, where we do the Canadian topics, and people love it. Regarding Nathan Rourke's comments, BC Eric writes in, he says, the NFL is an old girlfriend that you had a bad breakup with. Nathan is just bitter about his experience down south. Do you agree with that?
If that was the case, there'd be a lot of guys that are playing in the CFL that would have that approach, because how many guys have gone from the CFL to the NFL and come back up? So, no, I don't.
Okay, he referred to it as that league down there. Yes, I saw the clip, right? By the way, 87% of the respondents saying, no, he shouldn't get fined. Maybe I should have reworded that to, will he get fined? What are you voting on that poll?
No, he shouldn't, but he will.
Okay.
You know what? I have no problem with him coming out and skewering the league for this. Nathan Rourke is the face of the CFL, and I don't care if Eastern Canada doesn't like that or not, but he is. Nathan Rourke basically, you're a Canadian quarterback in a league that desperately wants one. But I'll be interested to see today, because I know, as I said, Dave Dickinson said he didn't find out about this until he got into work Monday morning. Nathan Rourke spoke yesterday. The Saskatchewan Roughriders begin practice today after having their bye week for their game in Edmonton. So let's see what Trevor Harris has to say. Let's see what Cody Fajardo has to say. I want to hear what other stars across the league are going to say, or are they going to be muzzled by their teams to say, hey, don't say anything like what Nathan said. I can see that happening, especially here.
Well, I said this on CBC News last night. For some reason, they asked my opinion on this, and I said there are millions of CFL fans. Legitimately, there are, and there are millions of opinions. Okay, so I think we all need to remember something here. We will all have our opinions. They're not all going to be the same, and that's why we have elected leaders to make these decisions, or the owners and a commissioner and Stuart Johnston. What would you like to say,
I just
Mitch?
want to say this. Sorry to interrupt.
Are you really sorry? Because I don't think you are.
Well, okay, you know how I am.
Yeah.
On social media, there has been just a deluge of comments from people who are so upset about this. And of course, that's what social media is used for, is to show that you're upset and to vent. Roddy, I'm going to guess that 80% of these numpties that are commenting probably don't put a lot of money into the CFL, but they just want to have their voice heard. Because if all these people that are commenting about the CFL, if they were out there supporting their teams, I don't know if the CFL would have the attendance problems or some of the other problems it does. So is this what was needed to get the passion going again? Like, I think a lot of these people are being really, really over the top.
The fans? Because
some of them, and that's the thing. I don't know if some of these people are fans or not. Because I don't know who this guy might be in Calgary or who this guy might be in Ottawa or whatever. There are names I recognize here. A couple of them, they're just blowhards as far as I'm concerned. Because I don't think they've been to a Rider game in 20 years.
It is, was, and always will be a marketing problem. End of story. It's not a football problem. Janice in Edmonton, the Stamps fan, writes in. She says, this will not happen, but if they want to improve the game with changes, remove the football operation salary cap now so we can get more coaches in place and planning now. Right, but you're right. That will not happen because that would take money out of the owners' pockets. Blackbird writes in and says, where the hell is he? He says, the Stars will not. I don't know where it is. He's got a lot of comments. He goes, the other stars are not going to say anything bad now. Why? There's a lot of people going, good for you, Nathan. Way to speak your mind. Are you going to be saying that when he gets fined on Thursday? Because I think that he will be. BC Eric writes in and he says, season ticket holder since 1978. I like the changes. Well, that's the other thing. There's a farmer in Yellowgrass by the name of Jeff Watson. Maybe you all know. He texted me and he goes, I like the NFL Canada idea, which I might bring up. You said yesterday you thought was coming down the pipe. I don't think you're in favor of NFL Canada. I've been saying that forever. But Matt DeBuck down here, who appears on this show regularly, high school football coach here in Florida and CFL alum, goes, people won't support an NFL light. People won't support an NFL minor league. I don't know, Matt. When's the last time you bought a CFL ticket? Like, everybody has an opinion. And that reminds me, by the way, as I go to the Western Dodge text line, Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in. He says, how can these changes make ticket sales any worse? Rob in Regina texts in on the Western Dodge text line. People don't like change and tend to have knee-jerk reactions. I wish the commissioner would have announced that the season would be starting a week earlier, eliminate 2 of the 3 bye weeks, and have the Grey Cup on the first Sunday in November every year. Okay, sure. Kirk in Toronto writes in. He says, hey, Rod, all the media that I heard from like all the changes except for 3 Down Nation, saying they're not happy with the field being reduced to 100 yards. He goes, which I also disagree with. Okay, what the hell would have made people happy? What would have made him happy? Which, if I may.
You know what it would have been?
What?
Don't change my league, Rod. Don't change it because nothing's wrong with it. And if you people can't figure out that there's nothing wrong with the CFL, then you're the problem. Baseball evolved. They changed up. They made the pitch clock. They made the designated hitter. The NHL removed the center ice red line. They instituted the shootout. The games need to change, people. Figure it out.
It's a scruffy rant. It's a scruff take.
Thank you.
A scruffy hot take. I'm writing it down. That's very good, Mitchell. Mitchell! That's very good, Mitch. Pal Kurt writes in and he says, Scruffy, I've been a CFL fan for years. The reason people aren't going to games is the cost and life. Oh, my God. He goes, surprised some people just can't afford going to games, but are fans of the game. Sure, you can sit back and watch on television. Have you watched an NHL game lately in Canada? Have you watched a Blue Jays game lately? Rod, watch it tonight and tell me that it's an economy problem. Watch Winnipeg tonight with the Oilers in town. Don't. Look at the Riders. They're drawing huge crowds. Choices. They're 10-3. Riders are the best team in the CFL. I haven't heard one bitch all summer about ticket prices. Have you?
Oh, yeah. I have.
Well, I have not.
Yep. And now the Riders, to their credit, have aligned with Co-op to sell tickets up in the 600s for $20. What a great marketing move that is. Do you think that will end up getting people to the games? I've still heard some people go, yeah, not going. Well, fine. That's up to you. But don't sit there then and tell me that you're a fan, because you're not. You're a supporter.
Well, you made a great point, Mitch. That's why I have you on. I mean, you follow baseball far more closely than I. With the pitch clock they brought in, with the runner on second base in extra innings, with the bigger bases, all the changes that they made. There was a lot of belly aching then too, right? But especially with the pitch clock, people are looking back going, it's the best thing they've done in 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
Will they be saying that about the CFL in a few years with all these changes?
I don't know, because you know what? We're going to have to see the game get played. And that's what happened in baseball. People started to see, oh, you know what? The pitch clock's okay. Oh, you know what? Having a runner on second to start the 10th inning, that's okay. You know what? Removing the center ice red line, that's okay. So let's see how this goes. Now, do I think that this is done yet? Because I know a lot of people are saying this was just the first step. Yeah, there's probably more coming down the pipe. And I really did not like the fact yesterday that when I believe it was Justin Dunk asked Stuart Johnston, can you guarantee that we're not going to 4-down football and whatever? And he would not say yes. He's, I'm never going to say that. That sort of raised the hair on the back of my neck. Because where is this going to go? What? The game a chance to see how this works. And then we can decide.
They're going to 4 downs, and if anybody doesn't believe that, I have some oceanfront property in Saskatchewan you might want to buy.
I don't disagree with you, Rod, but when is that going to happen?
Hang on. From we'll call that phase 2. We heard phase 1 yesterday. Okay. Coach DeBuck has written in and says the Blue Bombers should have been in the know before the release. Like Mike O'Shea said, Stewart could have went into this with a unified front. What a wonderful comment by Coach DeBuck, and what a typical football guy. They're not going to consult with the coaches and the players. Are you kidding me? Lucky if the general managers even knew about this. 3 years ago, DeBuck, before you and I even knew each other, maybe 4 years ago, remember when the CFL came in with 9 rule changes, Scruffy? They did it 2 weeks before camp. The coaches were livid. What do you mean we're narrowing the hash marks? We're doing all these things? They're never. When did your boss ever tell you, hey, Rod, we're thinking of doing this. What do you think? Because just, they don't do that. The biggest fallacy ever that they would expect to be consulted on this.
I agree with you. Like I think they should have, but yeah, the league decided we're going to consult with these people. So like Mike O'Shea and Dave Dickinson are saying their things. So there were people in the Bomber brass and the Stampeder brass that knew about it, i.e. the Board of Governors, and they decided not to let Mike O'Shea, Dave Dickinson know. So that might tell you something about that when it comes to the transparency and conversation that's being had in the respective offices of the teams.
You can't talk to the coaches. With all due respect, Coach DeBuck, and I love you, we can't talk to you guys because you guys are on your own planet. It reminds me of a lot of, like Carlos in Indianapolis writes, and he says, coaches like consistency. change runs counter to consistency. Having said that, Rob in Las Vegas writes in, he says, lifelong CFL fan here. I believe these changes are a grave miscalculation by the new commissioner. You watched the XFL 30 for 30 where they sat down with the coaches and said, this is what we're going to do for kickoffs. We're going to put the ball at midfield and have a guy from each team run and try and grab it. And the coaches were, no, you're not. No, you guys just coach the rules that we tell you. It's about entertainment. That's what this is. Right?
Yeah. That's what sports is. It's entertainment.
They were never going to be consulted on the rule changes, so stop. And by the way, and having said that, I never coached football. I never played football. But with the goalpost being moved from the front of the end zone to the back, don't tell me this isn't going to change missed field goal returns, one of the most exciting portions of CFL football. Come on, it's going to drop by 90%.
Oh, well.
Just saying.
You can still have punt returns. Roddy,
just saying.
All
right. Giving you a few things to mull over here.
You always search, not you. You always search for the negatives and not the positives. Is it going? Yeah. So you're losing the chance at a long field goal return.
Already doesn't need to be long. Any missed field goal return.
I don't. Well, you can still have long punt returns. Did we institute a fair catch yesterday? No.
Pretty damn exciting when there's a missed field goal return, flipping a game and a swing in the game like that. Hang on. We got some tremendous comments have come in from our very wise viewers. What a day. Thanks for joining me, Scruffy. One more segment with the Scruff Dog. See if he's got any more Scruff takes in him. We'll be right back here live on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube, podcast, and 1700 Mission Radio.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
RP Show continues. Hour one brought to you in part by Coolbet Canada. We have some numpties in the crowd. We have some positive people in the crowd. We're going to stick with the positive people. John writes in and says, Scruffy is the new moose. He's a keeper. Oh, I agree. You don't get on this show if you're a numpty. Scruffy's bringing the fire today, as he always does. That same Rob in Las Vegas writes in, he says, the commissioner should have just cut to the chase and adopted the NFL field and rule book entirely. That's where I believe they're going. And before we move on, if we do move on, you are in agreement with that, are you not, Scruffy?
I'm not discounting it, but I'm not endorsing it either. I need to see where this is going to go.
Where do you think it's going? I'm not saying where it should. Where do you think it's going?
I think at some point, Rod, by the time that we hit 2030, I think that this will be further Americanized. Yesterday probably was step one, but like I said, the Canadian portion of the game stayed. 3 downs, 12 men, wide field, certain amount of players have to be Canadian. That isn't going away. Not yet. Let's see what happens down the road. And I don't disagree with what you say, especially, as I said, when I heard the comments from Stuart Johnston where he wouldn't guarantee that this won't happen someday. But right now, like I said, let
this, I got to move on. Coach DeBuck says, no, RP. Stuart made it feel like a hostile takeover. Get the right current guys to support it, and that's half the battle. Saying that the post is in the way is part of the fun. The optics may be real for TV. That's from Coach DeBuck. But you weren't going to get the coaches on side. That's probably why they didn't consult them, because they don't want the changes. So that's why they didn't tell them. Oh, man, I don't want to – I can't believe the stuff that's being said. DeBuck and I will argue and not get mad at each other. What some people are saying about this and fighting over this is – completely out of control. Gary in Winnipeg writes in, he says, on last night's coaches show on CJOB, numerous season ticket holders, this is Winnipeg, by the way, said that they will not renew their season tickets for next year. Calgary Stampeders spent millions of dollars installing a new turf this season. Now it will have to be ripped up and modified for 2027. I will say this. I do have a lot of respect for the owners, some presidents and governors of the CFL, Mitch, but they don't think about what other people think. They don't consider other perspectives. They just don't. No. Guys like that don't.
Right. And, let's take this one step further. And this was the thing that was being brought up yesterday. What does this do for university sport? What does this do for the Canadian junior football? Minor football. If you're putting the end zones at the goalposts at the back, what does that do to kickers? There's a certain age that you don't hit until in hockey. When you're playing baseball growing up, you don't face live pitching until a certain age. I don't know where it is at Regina Minor football where you don't start kicking the ball and having 1-point converts. But now, are you going to kick converts from the 2-yard line? I think that a lot more consultations were needed here before they unveiled the curtain on this, and they didn't, and that's why this is going to be a you-know-what show. Actually, you know what? I can say this now, because it's going to be a shit show until everything gets settled. Scott McCauley, the head coach of the Regina Thunder of the Prairie Junior Football Conference, he went off on Twitter yesterday. I just don't know if they realized, yes, we're solving some problems, at least we think we are, but we've created a bunch more.
What he said, I saw it, because Scott, good friend of both yours and mine. He goes, we play our home games at two different fields. Leibel Field, which is a Canadian amateur football facility, and Mosaic Stadium, which is a pro stadium. We're now going to have to play two different games, two different styles of games on our home schedule. So hang on, I want to move on because junior. I'm going to move on because junior. I'm going to move on because junior football does not pertain to a large part of our audience. Mark in Burlington writes in. He says, "Hey Rod, I look forward to watching offenses work on playing without the darn goalpost in the middle." So there's that. I mean, the argument of it shouldn't change because that's the way it's always been. There is that crowd. We can't listen to those people. Kelly in Regina writes, and he says, "Morning, guys. So with the changes, will it sell any more tickets in Ontario? But oh well, Grey Cup week announcement after the game is sold out. They will say the CFL has become NFL Canada." No, I don't believe they're becoming NFL Canada anytime soon. But also say that you and I and a lot of my friends sit and talk about what we see on television every day, when we watch sports, largely the panels. You and I talked about it this morning. We all bitch about what's on there. And it ain't what it used to be, but we still watch. I don't see people turning away from CFL football with these changes and eventually full-on American rules. I don't see people turning away. Do you?
No, they talk a big game, but I think when push comes to shove, they'll be right back watching the game that they love. And all these people that are going, I'm done with the CFL. I'm not buying tickets. I'm not doing... Yeah, okay, we'll see you next year.
Exactly. Ted in Edmonton writes in on the Western Dodge text line. Drive with confidence. Shop Western Dodge. Financing, selection, and service you can count on. Ted says the CFL rule changes will be decided by ticket sales going forward. Having said all of this, we talked about baseball rule changes earlier. What about hockey? Going to 3-on-3 overtime, taking the red line out, hybrid icing that they've brought in. I think that was made by the GMs, not the owners. Because I know the inner workings of hockey so much better than I do football. That was a GM thing, don't you think?
Isn't the rules committee a mixture of GMs, owners, players? Or am I thinking baseball?
I don't know what makes up the... I know Brian Burke spoke on behalf of the NHL when they made those changes. How many years ago? Is it longer than you think? 20 years ago they went to 3-on-3 over? Brian Burke was the guy in front of
I don't know what the exact...
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
And Brian Burke was a general manager at the time. That's what made me think that it was GMs that came up with that. It was not GMs in this CFL instance. It's the owners and the governors, which also doesn't surprise me because they know how the league works. And that's why I get a little frustrated here with people that I've said it 8,000 times, and you've been with me side by side for decades. You know it yourself. The CFL is run by the owners, period, end of story. They don't listen to anybody. That's just the way that it is. I've accepted it.
I don't disagree.
I don't know other leagues that... It's what it is. There is no disagreement. I've seen it firsthand.
Yep.
So if you want to...
I don't disagree with you because I've seen it as well.
John Ohm has asked this like 18 times. I don't know why it matters. He says, how many CFL owners are American? Why does that matter and who cares? To be honest, I don't think any of them are. But I think he's inferring that they're trying to make it an American game because of American owners, and that's not the case. The best owner the CFL ever had was the Montreal guy, Bob Wettenhall.
Yep.
Well, he's from Florida. He's the best owner the CFL ever had. He's American. He didn't care. This is not about that. Arlen Bruce is watching. AB, I need to get you on the show here. He says Damon Allen said the CFL will be called something else, not the Canadian Football League. Less than 2 minutes, Mitch. The floor is yours. Oilers, Jets. You going to be watching tonight from Winnipeg or not?
I told you I'm not really big on NHL preseason hockey, but I might check it out. Oilers did sign Vasily Podkolzin to a 3-year contract extension this morning, so that's nice. I think I'll be probably watching baseball tonight. Cubs and the Mets.
Oh, shame on me. I turned on ESPN SportsCenter this morning, and there was a highlight of the San Francisco Giants game last night. I'm like, oh, they're still playing? My mind is so in football, hockey, and everything else. Oh, by the way, I don't know why this is. Blackbird writes in and says, John Candy, too. John Candy is from Newmarket, Ontario. Where the owners are from nobody cares about that. I don't understand. Nope. Can we please keep this on the damn track? I'm going to try. Oh, it's Jonathan Taves' first game in a Jets jersey tonight. I was wondering about that. Thank you, Michael Wynn in Winnipeg at Ice Time Sports, checking in, watches us every day here on Game Plus Television. Scruffy, you've served your time today. You've served your sentence. Go enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, you too, pal.
A great Scruff take earlier. Watch our social media channels for the highlights of that. We'll be coming back with a sports update. Viewer takeover the rest of the way. 902-518-3033, the number to text us for Western Dodge. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
We got some really good stuff on the go today. Hope you're enjoying it. Scruffy has adjourned. Troy Westwood coming up in hour 2. I'm taking it upon myself for the sponsorship that the Mad Greek Eatery has so graciously bestowed upon us. And because Johnny Utretis over there, the Mad Greek himself, is such a huge junior hockey fan, I'm calling it the Junior Hockey Report, but it's like the Warriors Report because they're in Moose Jaw. Those pesky Warriors are 2-0. Atop the Eastern Conference in the dub, I might add, and they're home Saturday night against the Swift Current Broncos. Note the start time, 6 p.m. at the Temple Garden Center. Our Junior Hockey Report. For the Mad Greek, are you craving the famous Greek ribs everyone in Moose Jaw is talking about? Get yours today at the Mad Greek Eatery. Dine in, pick up, or order online at themadgreekeatery.com. I got like yesterday, a slew of notes that I wrote down. I didn't even get to them yesterday, and that's fine. I'm going to get to some of them here today. The gentleman, he's watching today because he's written in already, Mark in Burlington, Ontario, says, Rod, when you move to the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network next week, how would you handle a day like today where the CFL was such a huge topic? When I say hour 1's Canadian sports, hour 2 is U.S. sports. I want to make something clear here, and I've talked to our business manager, Joe, about this. That's just a guideline. That's just a guideline, okay? As I was having this conversation working out with Chris Dingman, the former Tampa Bay Lightning and Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup champion. He was pushing far heavier weights than me, but we were talking about sports talk because he did sports talk in Tampa for a long time. Chris Dingman, the former Brandon Wheat King, and he goes, I think people just want good sports talk. I don't think they care where you are or what you're talking about. Just be entertaining. And that was a few years ago. We were in Calgary together at the time, and that's where we're at. So it's a guideline, okay? I'm not married to it, nor should you be, just so we'll talk about what you're talking about. That's what makes this all fun. That's what makes the world go round. And the biggest news in this world, and why I'm spending so much time on it in hour 1, is that Canadian sport thing, is the CFL rule changes. Gary in Winnipeg writes in, and this is also why they find this show entertaining, is what I'm told by the people in Nevada, is the host, believe it or not. For instance, Gary in Winnipeg writes in on the Western Dodge text line, and he says, I have sent several emails to the CFL regarding several matters over the past couple of years. I have never received a reply. That tells me that the CFL has no respect for CFL fans. Here's the thing. I had a guy, pretty good friend of mine, send me an email. He goes, Rod, this is an email that I sent to the Stampeders and the CFL. I've CC'd you on it, and I hit delete. They're not going to read it. Why would I spend my time on reading it? Why are you... No. And now, having said all that, former Rider president Jim Hobson would respond to every single letter and email that came into the Saskatchewan Roughriders in my time. He's also in the Hall of Fame and appeared in 4 Grey Cups and won 2 in his decade in charge. So I'm not saying that them not responding to you is right, but I'm telling you that's the way that it is. Okay, and I'm not interested in being CC'd on emails to anybody. I got better things to do than read that. I would lose my mind with the millions of different opinions people have on this. Laverne in Swift Current writes in and he says, I agree 100% with Scruffy. Are they going to implement 3 timeouts per half as well in the CFL to have a little more control of the clock? I don't know. Taylor in Calgary has written in and says, why, Rod, would you want 4 downs in the CFL? Okay, I'm going to make this real clear. And by the way, Jim Waldron is watching in the U.S., and he says, I think the changes will enhance marketing opportunities in the U.S. with the rule changes. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. Here's the thing. Other than the Commissioner Stuart Johnston standing in front of the media yesterday and vis-a-vis all the world of CFL fans and saying, we're making these changes to enhance the entertainment factor of the game. Are you really? Is that really what it is? And I've said, it's in my commentary today, I'm encouraged by the leadership and the clarity of Stuart Johnston, who basically said on Sunday, the league said, we're having a news conference Monday to talk about significant changes coming to the game. And then they did exactly what they said they were going to do. That's pretty rare in sports these days. But they didn't say why. And just so you know, it's not our right to know why they're doing this. Now, stick with me on this. Why do I want 4 downs? Okay, I worked in the league for decades. We've jokingly called CFL cash flow low. And I'm like, to use my mom's term, pissing into the wind here because it's useless because nobody listens. But it's a hand-to-mouth league. You all think that they're wiping their ass with $100 bills. They're not. It's a cheese and cracker league. Hand-to-mouth every day. And for the people in the league, there's only a very less than 1% making big money. Everybody else is struggling, okay? There's no money in the league. So I'm kind of a, if you can't beat them, join them kind of guy. So partnering up with the NFL and becoming NFL Canada, I have always thought would be a good thing. Because why are you fighting with the NFL? Having said all of that, as a student of human behavior and in my other career as a mental health and recovery coach, I know the concepts of attachment. I know the concepts of fear of change. There's nothing they could have done that would appease everybody, like literally nothing, which is, by the way, another thing, and I'm going down a garden path here that I didn't meant to, but why the hell not? It's just me. You got Peter Diakowski, the former player rep, Canada's smartest man, Peter Diakowski, he was on the CBC show. I know him well. We had him with the Rough Rider. Good guy. He says, all this is Americanizing the CFL, which is exactly what I said was coming down the pipe. On the flip side, you got Steve Simmons, who I respect immensely as well. He has a home here in Boca Raton, Florida. He writes for the Toronto Sun. He's in the Hall of Fame as a writer. He goes, they've got 11 men. They've got a rouge. Explain to me how this is Americanizing the game. Okay, well, so there's zero chance we would ever convince Steve Simmons that what they announced yesterday is Americanizing it, yet Peter Diakowski is calling it exactly what I think that it is. We can't agree. So what you do in that situation is you shake hands and you walk away. Or stand and fight and scream in each other's face, which is what everybody likes to do, but I do not. Okay? So I like the stability that would have come with the NFL-Canada partnership vis-a-vis all of these U.S. rules. And quite frankly, I believe Monday was phase one. I've been saying it for years. It pisses everybody off. They say a lot of mean things about me that, thank God, if I didn't have the skin of a rhinoceros, I'd be in the corner crying, sucking my thumb right now. But I don't care what you think or they think or anybody. I don't care. This is what I think. Some guy writes in on Instagram yesterday saying, you're not even Canadian anymore. Okay. We're done. Grow up. That's the scary thing about voicing your opinion these days. I don't need to tell you what happened last week that people are still talking about. Voicing your opinion cost Charlie Kirk his life. I'm sitting here talking about football rules. And people can't be civil about it. Grow up. Sports update for UFZ Sports Zone. San Francisco Star defensive end Nick Bosa tore the ACL in his right knee on the weekend and will miss the rest of the season. Bosa hurt his knee in the first half of a win over Arizona on Sunday and didn't return to the game. The San Diego Padres are headed back to the playoffs for the fourth time in 6 seasons. The Padres clinched a playoff berth with a 5-4 11-inning win against a 3-time NL Central champion Milwaukee Brewers on Monday night. By the way, it doesn't matter where you live, Canada or U.S. This segment is entertaining. That's what they like, for those that can't get it through their head. The Padres pulled within 2.5 games of the idle Dodgers in the NL West with that win last night, and 2.5 games of the idle Cubs for the NL's first of 3 wild card spots. Auburn basketball coach Bruce Pearl has announced his retirement months after taking the Tigers to another NCAA Final Four. Pearl's 38-year-old son, Steven, is taking over the team. The sports update is brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone Moose Jaw. From jerseys to trading cards, Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store is your fan cave headquarters. Visit them in Moose Jaw or click over to ultimatefanzone.ca. At my own peril, I will delve into the comments from the viewers here. Jason and Red Deer. Great rant, Rod. Rod's rant brought to you by It's His Show, and he can say what he wants, so shut it. Take it or hit the road. Ken in Mississauga writes in, he says, thanks for the philosophy, Rod. I come for that as much as the sports talk. Thank you. John Ohm says, well said, Rod. Bravo. This is funny. They're all talking about the Oilers and the Jets tonight, TSN 3. Which, by the way, I don't know who this guy is. Somebody anonymously comes in here, starts throwing elbows and dropping bombs. Get the hell out of here. Hour 2, we're just going to continue this fun and frivolity. But the one thing is, when we go to Silver State Sports and Entertainment, there's just going to be a hell of a lot more hockey and less CFL talk. That's just the way that it's going to be. Hour 1 was virtually all of that, so I hope you enjoyed it. We've got NFL takes to get to. I got some great ones, some really great ones. But Troy Westwood's going to be joining us, and now would be a good time to tell you, Troy Westwood, 17 years, Winnipeg Blue Bomber kicker, 2-time All-Star. Used to hate him. He didn't like me, but when we beat them in the 2007 Grey Cup, I was with Saskatchewan. He was with Winnipeg. He said afterwards to the media, if we had to lose to anybody, I'm glad it's them. It was like flipping a light switch. I love that guy. Even in the worst moment of his professional career, he took his hat off to us. I'm like, that's class. Troy Westwood. And he will join us next. He's got his takes. Politically, we could not disagree more. But we're still very, very, very close friends, Troy Westwood and I. And that's very hard to believe, I'm sure, for a lot of the numpties out there. So it should be a raucous hour 2. We'll be back. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube, podcast, and 1700 AM Mission Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso. Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste. Savor. Share. Famoso. The spirit of Italian. Come in. Enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Famoso. Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste. Savor. Share. Famoso. The spirit of Italian. Come in. Enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show, Hour 2 on the Game Plus Television Network and various other platforms. Lucky you, it's just me with you for the next 15 minutes or so. And then we'll be joined by the lovely and talented Troy Westwood, 17-year veteran kicker of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers of the CFL, two-time All-Star, and to me, probably more impressively, many, many years as the co-host on the TSN 1290 morning show out of Winnipeg. I got so much to talk with Troy Westwood about coming up in the next segment. So get comfy, get cozy. I see Kevin the Medium has just rolled in. Kevin, you've missed a lot, so get comfortable. We'll get you caught up with a quick 6 show topics here. I'll just empty out the Western Dodge text line before we go any further. This is leftovers from hour 1. Jim in Balgoni writes in on the text line. He says, we tune in for 1, Rod. 2, the unpredictability and spontaneous madness that the show offers every day. I love every second of it. As my brother said to me way back when we started this godforsaken show 1,582 episodes ago, 7 years ago, he was like, I love this show because anything can happen at any time. And it still is that way. So anyways, this is what we've been talking about. Point 1 of the quick 6. We remain with the big story being football. This is for the U.S. viewers and NFL fans who have tuned in for that. Monday Night Football, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery ran for 2 touchdowns apiece, and the visiting Detroit Lions bullied their way to a 38-30 NFL win over the Baltimore Ravens on Monday. The Lions sacked Lamar Jackson 7 times. That's not what I'm laughing about. I'll tell you why I am in a sec. And Detroit outrushed the Ravens 224 yards to 85 in a battle of 1-1 teams. Really good game. Tied 14-14 at halftime. Really enjoyed every part of it. The pregame show, the broadcast, and the Lions flexing their muscle. And I'm happy for Dan Campbell. He's done remarkable yeoman's work rescuing that Detroit Lions franchise from the dead, made them Super Bowl contenders last year before they did a faceplant in the playoffs, lost his coordinators in the offseason, and he's bringing them back. It's a hell of a story. But I also love John Harbaugh, as I said an hour ago, the head coach of the Ravens, but he's won his Super Bowl. Now it's the Lions' time. And by the way, didn't get to this, and I wanted to. Power rankings have changed, obviously, because week 3 in the NFL is now behind us. This from the USA Today. Philadelphia remains number 1 power rankings in the NFL. Nobody's going to argue that. Number 2, the Buffalo Bills. Nobody's going to argue that either. But scooting all the way up to 3, the Los Angeles Chargers. Scooting up to number 4 is the LA Rams, despite the fact they lost at the Eagles on Sunday. And number 5, the Green Bay Packers, who a week ago were number 1. They slipped all the way from 1st to 5th. That's what happens when you lose to the Cleveland Browns. And by the way, Brent from Wellington, Florida, if you're watching, I'm going to be inviting that's Brent from Wellington, Florida, when he caught that 40-foot sailfish a couple years ago off the coast of West Palm Beach. I'll be at your house Sunday night getting ready for Cowboys, Packers. What are we betting? And so that's the top 5. The bottom 5 in the NFL equally as tantalizing. Let's go from bottom up. 32nd team in the NFL, according to USA Today, which, by the way, they're not necessarily the experts, but that's just what I subscribe to. The New Orleans Saints may not win a game. I feel bad for Kellen Moore, but at least he's in year 1 there. Doesn't have a quarterback, doesn't have anything. But at least nothing was expected of them either. Second worst team, number 31, Moose's Tennessee Titans. 30th team, the New York Giants, who I saw this morning making a quarterback change. Jackson Dart will start this week's game. I know so many Giants fan friends of mine, and Chris from the Bronx is number 1, and he texted me because we had another bet on his Giants, which they lost again. I'm like, Chris, you got to find better teams. I don't remember the last time that I lost a bet to Chris from the Bronx. But we're going for chicken this week. He's buying, and he goes, I guess Daniel Jones wasn't the problem. That's what losing teams do. They blame the quarterback. They're blaming Russell Wilson now, having said that, he was bad Sunday night against the Chiefs. But quarterback change for the Giants today. Oh, fourth worst team, number 29, the Miami Dolphins. I saw some people writing in here yesterday. I didn't have the opportunity to address it because there were so many comments, and there's just as many or more today. But some guy asked, how's it going over in Miami that the Dolphins suck so bad? Here's the answer to that. As I was driving to the gym and back, they're not even talking about the Dolphins anymore. They're talking about the Miami Hurricanes, who are last ranking fourth in the country. I didn't see if it's come out yet, this week's rankings. The NCAA's Miami Hurricanes of the ACC, that's what everybody's talking about. They have a chance at the national championship. They're done with the Dolphins. And the fifth worst team is the Dallas Cowboys, which I told you was going to happen, but nobody listened. I'm so tired of telling people the way it is. But eventually you all catch up. I think tomorrow, because tomorrow's Wednesday, we'll do our NHL first of the season, top 5, bottom 5. I'm excited about that. Top 5, bottom 5 in the National Hockey League. Jason in Red Deer says, what the hell? How are the Bucks not in the top 5? Don't come at me. Ask USA Today. Coach DeBuck, by the way, regarding Troy Westwood, says, Troy is awesome. Troy and Vandy, two of the best in the CFL all time. I'm glad. Well, you obviously saw what I said at the end of hour 1. Again, I hated Troy Westwood. If he even knew who I was, I don't think he liked me either as the voice of the rival Rough Riders. But then we got to be close friends, like real close friends. And he was the guy that came up with the term, Saskatchewan's full of banjo-picking inbreds, which, to be honest, I was never upset about. I thought that was funny. But then he explained to me that he was just squawking, trash-talking, which made me love it even more. Riders, to this day, by the way, have not acknowledged the term Banjo Bowl. They won't do it. Can't have fun with themselves. Speaking of, point 2 of our Quick Six Show topics, BC Lions star quarterback Nathan Rourke wasn't impressed with some significant changes to the game announced by CFL Commissioner Stuart Johnston on Monday, after Johnston revealed a 2-part fan-friendly plan on Monday that will alter the way the game looks and is played. Rourke called the new changes garbage. He also expressed his displeasure with the league for not consulting the players. It's quite a clip, and that's our poll question today for our friends at EMJ Marketing. From impactful speakers to strategic marketing, EMJ Marketing is your all-in-one solution. Visit them at emjmarketing.com. Should Nathan Rourke be fined for calling the league's rule changes garbage? I voted yes. 87% of respondents on Twitter and YouTube have voted no. And I get that. But the rules haven't changed in life or in sports. You can't bite the hand that feeds you. You cannot. So he should be fined. He will be fined. And if you want to dig a little deeper, as salacious as the clip was, and yeah, he got a lot of support from people like Coach Mike Kelly, who was just on this show last week. Can't do that. Now, what if you, Coach Mike Kelly, is now the commissioner of the Continental Football League, had a player come out and rip your decisions like that? I don't think you'd like it very much. And then the responses from people are as entertaining as anything. Our friend Reed Johnson from the Markcast going, Nathan Rourke, the guy that said the CFL was an unexpected detour on his way to the NFL. Others saying Nathan Rourke, the guy who went to the U.S. to play high school football and then college, and would be gone to the NFL in a second, probably. And by the way, don't get it twisted, as Chris Jones would say. I'm a big fan of Nathan Rourke. He's a God guy. And if you're a God guy, you're good with me. Doesn't mean you can lip off and not have fear of any consequences on that. I go back to this Luke Wilson thing. Like, he's tried to come at me on Twitter yesterday, and I said, hey, I won't talk about what we went back and forth on, Luke Wilson and I, but all summer long, he'd been dumping on the CFL and its alumni and the owners. Let's not forget, this is the guy that said the owners don't want the league to grow. They want to eliminate the Canadian player. All of these things. And all of a sudden, he's coming at me and he's Joe CFL? Pick a lane, bro. Pick a side. I picked mine long ago. But it's youth in both Nathan Rourke's situation and Luke Wilson's. They'll figure it out. And you actually thought that you were going to be consulted Nathan, and the coaches? Since when does the boss come into your office and say, we're thinking of doing this? What do you think? It doesn't happen anywhere. But they'll learn. I did. Hour 2 is brought to you by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. And also Outlaw Communications, where creativity is a way of life, specializing in strategic communications, leadership training, and clear conversational content that motivates your audience. How about those Blue Jays? Point 3, the quick 6. With a playoff berth secured, the Toronto Blue Jays will focus on winning the AL East Division pennant this week. The Jays, who lead the Yankees by 2 games, open a 3-game series tonight against the Boston Red Sox. If the playoffs started today, the Jays would have a bye in round 1 and play the winner of the Yankees and Red Sox. My focus is on football, however, and now becoming more so hockey. Point 4, there are 11 NHL preseason games scheduled for tonight, with 6 Canadian teams in action. The Montreal Canadiens, who beat the Pittsburgh Penguins 2-1 in a shootout last night, host the Philadelphia Flyers, while the Toronto Maple Leafs entertain the Ottawa Senators. Elsewhere, the Edmonton Oilers visit the Winnipeg Jets on TSN 3, and the Calgary Flames host the Seattle Kraken. When I first came down here 5 seasons ago now was the NHL preseason. And I remember saying to somebody, hey, what Panthers are playing tonight? What channel is it on? They're like, what? What TV channel is the Panthers game on tonight? Where do you think you are? It's streaming, maybe. Oh, that's the NHL in America. It's a lot different. It's also 1:11 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain. Oh, I know it's hard, but visualize a positive outcome. Visualize it to your current problems. It works. What do you got to lose? By the way, remind me, please, about Paul Maurice, because I want to ask Troy Westwood about Paul Maurice. Paul Maurice, 9 years as the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, coincides pretty much exactly with Troy Westwood's time as the morning co-host on TSN radio there. I'm sure he's got some stories about having Pomo on. He's such a classy guy. Paul Maurice, Troy Westwood as well, as far as I'm concerned. So see if he's got any Paul Maurice stories. And by the way, something came across my social media feed this morning. It's not right, and this is something that average mediocre people don't understand. There are different rules for different people. That's just the way that life goes. I know a lot of people don't like that. They don't understand it, but that's the way that it is. Tom Brady, as I'm watching him do color the other day, his commentary is fine. His voice is not good. Like, I love Tom Brady. It sounds like he's sucked on a helium balloon, however. He does not have a voice for broadcasting, but you know what? That doesn't matter anymore. I was getting ready to broadcast the Georgia Tech FAU hockey game the other day. I was doing color. And a friend of mine said, the play-by-play guy for Georgia Tech, does he know hockey? I said, since when does that matter? Anyways, back to different rules. I saw this morning that the Doan family in Phoenix, the Doan family, Shane Doan's family, are looking into putting together an ownership group to bring the NHL back to Arizona, which I think is fantastic. Shane Doan is the face of the Coyotes. He is. Come on. He's the longest serving guy from day one to the end. Shane Doan. You talk to him about owners. We all have scars. But I'm sitting there going, last I saw Shane Doan, he was traveling with the expansive Toronto Maple Leafs front office. They need 2 buses when they come into your town to play the Leafs, and Shane Doan's with those guys. I'm like, how is he allowed to put together an ownership group in Phoenix when he works for the... Oh, wait. It's Shane Doan, which, by the way, I don't have a problem with. I love that guy. He's as classy as they get. But I don't think you're supposed to be able to work for one team and put together... Oh, wait a minute. Tom Brady is. So that's just an example of different strokes, different rules for different folks. Hour 2 is brought to you in part by Cool Bet, by the way. Claim your welcome bet bonus up to $200 with the promo code RP200 at coolbet.com. Canadian viewers only. And speaking of point 5, former Phoenix Suns star Steve Nash is joining the NBA franchise as a senior advisor. Nash of Victoria, BC, had some of his best seasons with the Suns, winning back-to-back NBA MVPs in 05 and 06. The 8-time All-Star was inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in 2018. The 51-year-old Nash coached the Brooklyn Nets for more than 2 seasons, finishing with a 94-67 record before being fired after a 2-5 start in 2022. And that's the thing where you love when the Canadian sports and the U.S. sports intersect, and Steve Nash, the greatest, for now, obviously the greatest Canadian NBA player of all time. SLG will have some SGA. When I say SLG, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander of Hamilton will have something to say about that. But for now, Steve Nash, the greatest Canadian NBA player of all time, joining the front office of the Phoenix Suns. Pretty sure they can use him. Troy Westwood coming in next. Still got stories I haven't got to. So stick around, everybody. We'll be right back here on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live, podcast, and 1700 AM Mission Radio. And by the way, get your text message questions in for Troy Westwood, 902-518-3033 on the Western Dodge text line. We'll be right back here on Game Plus.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And I should have had this ready. Be a part of the team. Grab your RP Show merch now at rodpedersen.com. Click on RP Store. We got all the goods, just like this guy. Two-time All-Star, Troy Westwood, 17-year Blue Bomber kicker. How you doing, Westy?
Good, brother. How you doing?
Good. You tried to come on with that grumpy Westwood face. I got you smiling right away. How are things?
I was just born
What's
with
up?
this, man. I can't help it.
You got the model
away.
looks. Listen, I said I didn't want to forget to ask you this, so I'm going to ask you first before we get to the football talk. Paul Maurice, as you know, I'm down here in South Florida. He's an icon now. They will put a statue of him in front of the rink at Amerint Bank Arena. For years and years and years, you were on TSN radio there in Winnipeg. What was your relationship like with him? I would think two good guys. You must have got along great.
I only was around him twice, Rod. And one time was out at a small fishing town in Western Ontario. It was just cool, just randomly ran into him sort of thing, and just had a chance to chat with him for a bit. I love the guy, man. And I was cheering for him equally. I admit, as a Winnipeg kid and growing up with the Jets, I was cheering for Paul Maurice to win the cup as much as I was for the Jets. And when he won it that first time and what he said about Winnipeg, I was just speaking to someone last week about that. And then to go on and see him win again last year, I think I'm in the vast majority of Jets fans here that just absolutely adore Paul Maurice.
Well, with that, I got to say this, like TSN 1290, not to open up a wound, but next province over, for me, I felt that them shutting the doors on that was ripping the heart out of that city. I don't think that's something you ever get over as a city. It meant so much to Winnipeg, that radio station.
Yeah, it's been it's right around 5 years or maybe more now. I still have folks come up to me fairly regularly, just missing that as part of their day and their life. And we have another station here that covers the Jets and the Bombers, but it's not a full-time sports station. And we had great freedom to express ourselves very honestly, the way that we felt with TSN for all the different leagues and the sports that we love, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you guys were so great to me. It was fun for everybody. Fun. Why can't we have fun? Anyways, you still, though, make your feelings known on Twitter. I mean, that was one I'm like, I got to get Troy on. And this latest is about the rule changes with the CFL and then what Nathan Rourke had to say. So, Troy, on all of it, go.
Well, all of it's big, right? Like there's a lot of different sort of aspects and angles of it. A lot of folks scared about it becoming, I think, an official feeder league, yet all of us know it is a feeder league, right? 99, I think maybe the only guy in the CFL is Mike O'Shea that wouldn't leave if he had a chance. The guy's cut from the Canadian Shield itself, sort of thing. But at least 99% of players, coaches, officials would all jump at a second if they could land a gig in the NFL. And I just sometimes, with economics and business, I definitely lean to the right. I'm a little conservative. So when I talk about, or when I hear, and I've always felt this, even as a player, Rod, when players start thinking that they have some cut of ownership or deserve to have a say in what the league does and what the owners do. I don't think Nathan Rourke is helping out the ownership of BC when they're averaging what they average and losing their shorts. Only the Bombers and the Rough Riders have made money since COVID. As far as I understand, I looked at it a little bit. I think 7 of the 9 teams lose money here for an extended period of time. And what the owners, along with the new commissioner, are trying to do something to increase fan involvement, excitement, numbers, and they're in a precarious situation here, Rod. So they got to think outside the box a little bit. And I just think, like Nathan Rourke saying, we should have been a part of the process. I think that's ridiculous. I think, hey, if the owner of your team wants to ask the coaches and the players for their opinions and thoughts, that's great. But in no way whatsoever should they. Like, I just think that's a ridiculous statement to make.
So that all is, I'm with you. To think you were going to be consulted is laughable, whether you are working a factory, a radio station, or a football team. They're not going to ask you. So let's move on. That's youth, Troy. That's youth. About the actual changes themselves, what do you think about them?
Most of like getting rid of the goalposts from the goal line makes a ton of sense, right? I think in a few years or the next generation, they'll go, you guys used to have the goalpost on the goal line. Like it's pretty kind of crazy that they're from a safety standard for sure. I know it killed us, and I know that the Bombers have won a game. I think it was against Saskatchewan, right? With the goalpost coming into play. We lost a heartbreaking East final against Baltimore in '94. Gerald Wilcox coming across the middle wide open by 3-4 yards. Dunnigan floating in a perfect pass and a bing off the uprights, and that was done. So I think moving it to the back of the end zone is fine and dandy. And shortening the field, doing something to try and help scoring and stuff like that. I just don't have a problem like that. But it does set up, Rod. Like if the CFL gets to a point where there's no other choice, and if they got to tap into what is the CFL's very last lifeline, is to align with the NFL. If there's no other way that they can do something to salvage those god-awful numbers they get in Toronto, everywhere but the prairie provinces, their very last lifeline will be to align with the NFL. If the goalposts are already at the back of the field, and if the field's already at 100, making it a little bit more narrow is very easy to do. And it seems a little bit to me like they've got that there. They know that there's a possibility. Worst case, it's kind of like, planning for the best and preparing for the worst. And if something needs to happen here where they all of a sudden now we have the fields very much so resemble the NFL game, then that can happen. But I think by and large, they're trying to make the game as exciting as possible, get the scoring up a little bit, and protect the CFL game and the integrity of it as much as they can while trying to appeal to a larger audience.
I'm with you. And by the way, when they were up against it the worst time, you were around 97. It was the NFL that they went to in terms of stroking them a check. It's always going to be that. And I think Monday was just phase one of where they're going. By the way, Kevin the Medium writes in, he says, next to Louis, Troy is my favorite kicker. And I don't know if I ever told you, I said this a couple times on the show today, but when you said after the 07 Grey Cup, if we had to lose, I'm glad it was to them. That was, because I'd never met you before. I was like, that's a good guy right there. That's first class right there. And that was, I've never, ever forgotten that, Troy. I don't know if I ever told you that. What the hell else was I going to say about it? I'm not done on that. Why do you think they did it? Because I don't know that this is going to sell more tickets. So you're saying moving towards more alignment with the NFL is why they did it? Because they're not going to say that.
I don't think it's. Yeah, I think that has to be a part of the conversation, right? When all the owners come together with the commissioner and they're looking at the overview of the CFL and they're projecting maybe X number of years in advance. When they're listening and like 7 of the 9 teams are bleeding to death financially. And we don't know the numbers because they're privately owned and they don't release those. But I can't imagine how far into the red a team like the Argos have been for an extended period of time. And it's a known fact that there's trouble. And a fellow like Bob Irving in Winnipeg, who I just absolutely love and adore, he's of the mindset of, hey, the CFL has always been and it will forever be. And I don't agree. Like, I love Bob, but I don't agree with that sort of, like, at some point in time, you wonder with the ownership group, like, everyone's in business to make money. They're not doing it from a charitable standpoint. So Rod, the situation specific and the question, does the CFL need Toronto? And I think the question is yes, or I think the answer is yes. But holy cow, you mentioned 2007. When we were there for the Grey Cup, nobody there knew that it was on. It was on like the 8th page back then when everybody read the paper. It was on like the 8th page sort of thing. The CFL is borderline non-existent in the GTA. And so how do you solve that? I don't think there is a way to solve that. I think all folks that are new or coming to Canada, they much prefer chasing a little white and black ball around a pitch. Right? And we're seeing soccer take off and continue to grow stronger. But this whole CFL and Canadian football thing, what you do in these markets, be it BC or anywhere in Ontario, how do you increase fan interest and participation coming to the game, stuff like that? I don't know. And I don't think there's an answer, or the situation with Toronto specifically is solvable. I don't think there's a marketing thing that can be put into play to solve the situation specific in Toronto.
Yeah. Well, we're good.
Sorry.
You're good. You never look better. I'm glad it's not my job to figure out how to sell tickets. I'm really glad it's not my job. But that's a wonderful segue. I get the new Canadian thing too, yet I watch these NHL games in Canada on television, go to some, just a lot of new Canadians there. They're just not going to CFL games. So on that flip side, it seems like I'm sitting here kissing your ass, but I'm not. I really like you, Troy. And your hockey knowledge is second to none. So we can flip it over to the Jets. The obvious question would be, the question is, how do you improve on a President's Trophy season? But the obvious answer is win a Stanley Cup. Is that what they're talking about?
Yeah, and I think the conversation I was in one yesterday, I think on like sort of the average place they're fitting into all the before season odds sort of thing is in that 8th, 9th sort of a range. But Rod, I just want to push that aside to talk to you specifically, because you're so fully ingrained, like a prairie boy, right? Like we're prairie kids. How cool is it, man, that Jonathan Toews is here? I mean,
it's a great story.
That is the coolest thing ever, huh? And he's so and when you talk about, like, folks are wondering with his age and coming off that his health situation, I would, and he was not going to come back to embarrass himself. That's for doggone sure. And there's such a level of class there. He should fit spectacularly into that second line center role, huh? And this could be just so magical.
I just want it to end well, because he's going to give 100%. But what's his health going to be? And that's your town. I don't know Winnipeg. I've never lived there. How are the fans going to be on him if it doesn't go? If he's not that 3-time Stanley Cup winner, that the way that we remember him?
That's a fair question. But I sure see. I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't know how the Jets fans can be a little bit like Philadelphia fans, right? If things go south a little bit. But I think if there was ever an individual that is going to have as much room for tolerance and patience, you can't get more than what folks are going to give to a Jonathan Toews. I think it's going to work out. They're going to have another very strong team. Last year was so disappointing how quickly they found out in the playoffs there, but they're situated well, and no question about it, this market is ready to go, Rod.
Oh, I can't imagine what it's like. But here's the thing, man, where our minds align. Like you've been through a lot in your life, and you turn that into, I think that it's alchemy is the word for it, changing it into something positive. So the way things ended last year for the Jets, I'm looking at that with the Scheifele situation. It could not have been more painful, but can we find a way to galvanize a club? And that's one thing. And two, you said, owners aren't in this for any other reason than making money. The Jets didn't sign Jonathan Toews to sell jerseys or have a nice story. They signed him to win, and that's what he wants too. So there's a lot of positive things coming back for the Jets this year.
There are, man. And I just think they're going to have a strong team, unquestionably, right? Especially when you have the level of talent in Hellebuck and just their overall, the way that they played last year, I think in an overall sense for an extended period of time, committed to things defensively and such. They're going to have a strong team. No question about it. It's just what happens once the playoffs roll around. Can Connor Hellebuck, it'll be really neat. He's going to be the guy to watch, right, come playoff time, because his level of struggle has been bizarre, and he's putting up the numbers that he does during the regular season, and then it's just a different kettle of fish for him for whatever reason in the playoffs. So if he can bust through whatever's going on there, I think it's fair to say, Rod, that's some sort of a mental situation. If he can bust through that and finally arrive come playoff time, then the club will be in good hands.
See, I think he already did bust through that by winning Game 7 against St. Louis. And
fair.
He didn't really put up the plywood against Dallas per se, but he wasn't the reason you lost either. Like, you being the student of, like, look, with goalies, kickers, not a lot different. A lot of pressure there. Like, you must sit there and examine what Hellebuck's been going through and thought, how would I handle this? So it wouldn't be easy.
I played goal from a kid till I was about 35 years old. I was a goal in beer league and all that as a kid. And then one day I was sitting between the pipes in one of the off seasons that I was playing with the Bombers too. And I just said, my brain said, that's enough of this. And I went to the blue line. After that, I went to play. I couldn't take it anymore.
Oh, hey, I get it. I was a goalie too. Yeah. When I was 40, I tore cartilage skating on an outdoor rink. And when you impale yourself, you talk about being a prairie kid. When you're skating, your stick goes in the crack.
Yeah.
I got that. And I'm 40. And the doctor's like, you're done. I said, no. I'm the same age as Marty Brodeur. He goes, it's not a debate. You're done. That was my retirement from playing hockey at all, impaling myself on an outdoor lake skating. Yeah. So anyways, what else is up with you, Troy? Give me an update on Troy Westwood.
Yeah, I'm with this awesome organization in Manitoba called True North Health, Rod, and we help First Nation communities across our province with health services. And it's just a beautiful dream gig for me, man. Just talking to the people in the communities and helping folks. So it's life is great. Family's healthy. Love what I'm doing for a living, and things are good, brother. And I hope you're doing really well. Enjoying those palm trees down there, man. That's so cool.
Oh, yeah. Life's good. I got no complaints here either. I can tell you that for free. But for whatever reason, the media keeps calling me back in. I'm ready to do the other stuff that I do on the side. But the media, I can't get out of it, which I'll say that again with TSN 1290. From the second they closed their doors, I just get the sense that you just walked out of there. Toodaloo. It was great. Bye. I get the sense that you never look back.
No, like a lot of the, I heard a lot of the talk, Andrew Patterson here went with his Winnipeg Sports Talk, and a lot of folks talked about starting a podcast similar to what you did, kind of went on your own and to monetize that. And I just had this other opportunity that was presented to me that really appealed to me, and it's where the organization that I'm with right now still. And I really enjoy it, man. So things worked out for the better. Oh, it was just great. The 10 years at TSN was really cool. Like it was a lot of fun and super cool, but those early mornings were challenging, and I really enjoy what I'm doing, brother.
I only got a minute. I'm remiss. I didn't ask you. Are the Bombers going to get to the Grey Cup? We have a minute. Are the Bombers getting to the Grey Cup?
Well, I know you got a lot of folks in Saskatchewan, Manitoba watching, Rod, but you know what my hope is? My hope is that the Bombers lock into that crossover. And you know where I'm going with that. Can you imagine the party, the week, if it's the Bombers and the Rough Riders with the crossover in Winnipeg for the Grey Cup? I am praying for that. You brought up 07, so maybe it's written in the stars, Rod, but let's do that, okay? Allow the Bombers, don't catch traction here till playoff time, and let's have a crossover bash, Grey Cup week, Bombers, Rough Riders in Winnipeg.
Beef up the security. One of these days, listen, Grey Cup week, you come back, we'll tell some stories, because I've heard some great ones. Doug Brown, but Doug Barry, Taman tells some great ones about that Sunday afternoon at Skydome. Yeah. Man, why did I open the door? We could go on for 2 more hours here. Okay, Troy, thanks for this. I appreciate the time.
Take care, brother. All the best.
All right, the best. Troy Westwood, 17 seasons. Winnipeg Blue Bomber kicker, 2-time All-Star. We'll be right back on the RP Show on Game Plus TV.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste. Savor. Share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in. Enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the RP Show. Just as producer Corey would say, a couple shorties to end the program today in terms of segments. But I've been waiting through the whole break to say this. Cardinal Ryan, an ordained minister in upstate New York, watches this every day. And I appreciate you, Ryan. Tuned in for some of your show last night, too, by the way. On the thing I was discussing with Troy Westwood earlier, Cardinal Ryan says, I learned a term during a retreat this weekend called divine alchemy. It's when God turns what was a bad situation into a blessing for benefit. And I wrote Ryan back. I said, yeah, that's what we work with people every day. So there's so much bad out there. But if you can it's not a new concept. It's the whole term of finding a silver lining. But I mean, we have the new viewers, people finding us every day. Yeah, I've been doing this for decades, this perilous trade of broadcasting since I was 16 years old, 37 years. Do the math. And this is episode number 1582 of this show. But I also work as a mental health and addiction recovery coach, and that's what we do every day. There's so much trauma, there's so much disaster out there that you can hang your rest of your life on that if you want. A lot of people do. Or alchemize it, transmute it, change it into in some way, a benefit, and learn from it and make your life better. I know it's a little deep for people, but that's why I don't have a lot of time for the pissing and moaning and fighting over CFL rules and the things that are being said for just giving our opinion on it. And that's why I went on that rant an hour ago in terms of saying, grow up. Oh, my God. Like, I understand it is life. No, it's not life and death. But it is some people's life. I get that. But it's not ours. And that is hang on a second. Let me get to the sports update before I go any further, because we'll run out of time. Kevin Gausman gets the start tonight as the Toronto Blue Jays open a 3-game set at home against the Boston Red Sox. The Jays clinched the playoff spot with Sunday's win over the Kansas City Royals. News out of Toronto, the Maple Leafs say goalie Joseph Woll is taking a leave of absence to attend to a personal matter. The Maple Leafs did not provide more details, nor is it anybody's business. The CFL is drawing mixed reviews after Commissioner Stuart Johnston unveiled sweeping rule changes on Monday, including a shorter field and modifying how teams score single points. Supporters call it a good step to win over younger fans, but critics say it's too close to NFL rules. BC Lions quarterback Nathan Rourke blasted the moves as garbage, adding players weren't consulted. The sports update is brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone. Dress like a fan, not a spectator. Ultimate Fan Zone Moose Jaw has everything you need: jerseys, hats, hoodies, and more. Start shopping now at ultimatefanzone.ca. That's the poll question today for EMJ Marketing. Should Nathan Rourke be fined for his comments? Okay, yeah, I think so. But I had written down here earlier that there are different rules for different people. Is Nathan Rourke in that tier? I don't know. Tom Brady's allowed to break the NFL rules and be an owner and broadcast on Fox and also coach the Raiders as well, I guess. Is Nathan Rourke above league discipline? I didn't think so. But maybe he is. What else did I want to get to? Or I'm thinking, I have a lot of things to get to. I'm just questioning, am I going to push it to the next segment or not? What I was laughing about earlier, and I never did get to why, I was reading the Monday Night Football result, and for some reason, I can't remember when, I got so much sports talk pumped into my head. It was either last night, but I think it was this morning. They were talking about Lamar Jackson's mom being his agent, and the guys on the radio were laughing about that, saying he got sacked 7 times last night, blah, blah, like his mom had anything to do with that. Yeah, it was this morning because I distinctly remember I was listening on the local radio here in Miami, and they were Lamar Jackson's from here, Pompano Beach, 9 miles down the road. And I'm like, I wish I had my mom. My mom is my agent. I'll tell some stories when we come back in overtime about my history with agents. It's been fine. But I feel like if I'd had my mom as my agent, I'd have been far better off. And those agents will agree. Producer Corey says, the king is above the code. Are we talking about the king? The king, Corey? Like the man upstairs? Oh, he said it's a quote from a movie. I feel like you and I might watch different movies. I think there's a chance at that. Yeah, I didn't see that movie. We'll be back in a moment, everybody. Once I get out my dictionary, there's some words here that I don't get. We'll be back. We'll be back here on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Okay, welcome back. But didn't today's show go by fast? It certainly did for me. I'm sure it did. Well, I hope it did for all of you. So this is Overtime. It's brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Great friends of ours there, long-time partners. Kevin the Medium did the deal, actually, and Kevin the Medium is watching right now. So I'll just say it's an amusement park for hockey players, but don't take my word for it. Head on down there and check them out for yourself. Overtime Hockey Lanes, 28th Street, Northeast, Calgary. If I have time, I'll address this Nathan Rourke thing, but for the benefit of our new viewers, and yes, on Monday we do go to air in Las Vegas on Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. Our very first guest, just confirmed, Vegas Golden Knights color commentator Shane Knighty. Longtime friend of mine. He played for the Prince Albert Raiders when I was the voice of the Raiders at the age of 20. And while he was 18, I was 20. He thought I was old then. Anyways, we've remained close. Shane Knighty, Vegas Golden Knights television crew, and the star of the NHL on Prime will be our first guest on Monday. But of course, most importantly, we are on Game Plus Live noon to 2 every day and replayed at 4 p.m. Eastern. Anyways, Kevin, the medium, says she agreed. Rod, she agreed. I'm like, who agreed? With what? Kevin speaks to dead people as a medium, so he was talking to my mom. She agreed she should have been my agent. I've had 3. One I'm very close to, one I was medium close to, 3 I'm not close to at all. But one of them, I'm not going to name any of their names, but one of them went into Sportsnet when they got the NHL rights in 2014, wrestled them away from TSN. I didn't fly to Toronto. I was busy. I was pretty busy calling Rough Riders games and Pats games. So the agent went in there, met with Sportsnet, and they said, we're not hiring Rod for 3 reasons. And the guy said, oh, what are those? He's a Western guy, he's a radio guy, and he's a football guy. That was the end of that. He came out and called me right after. These are the reasons. There's not much I can do about that. And the other, not that these guys, they didn't do a bad job. Just weird things happened. And with the Flames, I agreed to a deal. I don't mind saying it now. Ken King, president. It was supposed to be a 3-year deal. We agreed on that. Then he changed it to 1 year. You have a problem with that? I said, no, I don't. I don't care. Just want the job. I said, you'll be dealing with my agent anyways, blankety blank. And he goes, what agent? Oh, he's my agent. You'll be doing the deal with him. You tell him if he calls me, the deal's off. I said, why? I deal with agents, with GMs and coaches and players. I'm not dealing with one of the broadcaster. He calls me, you're done. Welcome to that story. Oh, and then there was another one. He actually found me a lot of jobs, but I didn't want to leave Saskatchewan. Had a young family, was the voice of the Rough Riders. Just didn't want to leave. And in one of our very first conversations, this was actually with TSN. You got us a call, and TSN said, "You're in Saskatchewan. You must be dying to get out of there." That just pissed me off. And I said, if I'm going to be in the CFL, this is where I want to be. This is my home. My parents were still alive then. I said I wanted to see my nieces and nephews grow up and had a young family myself. No, I'm not interested in leaving. And that agent dropped me. He's like, if you don't want to leave, what do you got me for? I'm like, well, find me a really good job, then I can leave or bring my whole family. So anyways, Kevin the Medium says, if you go to the overtime lounge with Rod, wear a hard hat. That's a true story. Producer Corey doesn't. I shot his hat right off his head. It was a William Tell moment. He thinks it was luck. This is not luck. There's no such thing as luck, Kevin. You should know that. He was wearing a ball cap. I shot a ball at his head, or puck actually, knocked his hat right off. Wasn't luck. Carlos. No, he says he were hanging out. No. Dan Tessier of the Ottawa 67s. We know what we're doing. Believe it or not, newsflash, we know what we're doing. Carlos in Indianapolis says, what a show. The fastest 2 hours were a great 2 hours. Thank you. Go back and watch it again if you liked it that much. On the Nathan Rourke thing, Pierre writes in, he says, if Nathan Rourke had avoided the media altogether, would the league be happier? Instead of criticizing them and calling the league rules garbage, or the new changes garbage. He says it's Farhan's fault for asking him the question. Wrong. He could have answered that 18 different ways. And he stepped up as I think the highest paid player in the league and dumped all over the league. So unless things have changed, I think he'll be fined. Oh, it's now down to 2 minutes now. Okay, gotcha. Bill in the Queen City writes in and says, good morning. Hello, Bill. You showed up late. You've got plenty to get caught up on here today. Troy Westwood telling some old Grey Cup stories. I'll just empty out Western Dodge text line. Kirk in Toronto's watching on Game Plus. He says, hey, Rod, funny with all the talk of attendance woes in Toronto, the final home game against Hamilton will be a season-high crowd with the club opening the East Upper Deck. Maybe they heard that they're changing the rules. And they're all scrambling to buy tickets to watch the current rules before they become extinct. BC Eric says, Upper Bowl tickets being sold for the Calgary game at BC Place. Thanks, Nathan. They were opening the Upper Bowl before Nathan Rourke opened his mouth. I get the news releases from the BC Lions, but nice try. Eric in BC. And by the way, thank you for ordering the RP Show hoodie and wearing it proudly to the BC Lions games. Your post got a like from Amar Doman, if you saw, the owner of the BC Lions, who, by the way, is Canadian, for those that care. I don't know why that matters, but it seems to. Did I say? Yeah, I did. I said Shane Knighty. We're going to be blowing that the hell up. Shane Knighty, Vegas Golden Knights television color commentator, will be our first guest on Monday when we go to air in Sin City. So it's all been great, but I'll thank you again, our overlords at Game Plus Television, the OGs. YouTube Live podcast at 1700 AM Mission Radio. I have no idea it's going to be just me in hour one tomorrow, so get ready for that. Who do you want for the guest in hour two? Let me know. We'll see you tomorrow.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?